Namaskaram. Welcome to the Festival of Bharat. My name is Abhishek, and I'll be your host today. So, I have a couple of very special guests on the show, and I can't wait to introduce them to you. Some of you may already be familiar with them. If you have heard of the Hindu Heritage Youth Camp, you may already know who they are. But let's bring them on. It's Subhash Gupta ji and Sarojini Gupta ji. Namaste. Welcome to the show.
Namaste, Abhishek ji.
How are you doing today? I hope you're doing great.
Very
Wonderful,
good, very
wonderful.
good.
Thank you for joining. It's actually very great to have you here.
Thank you for
So
inviting us.
Oh, of course, of course. So the main thing we want to talk about is that you're opening a new site for the camp, right? And this is big news because you've always had to sort of rent other spaces, and this is for the first time you have your own space. But before we get into that, I think let's go back into the journey a little bit, right? So it's back in the day, you moved to America, and you're surviving, you're doing your thing, and then at some point you think, hey, you know what? We need to start this camp. So can you sort of paint that journey for me? At what point triggered the idea that you need to start this camp?
So back in 1980s, uh, there was a need to connect our Hindu families, and we used to do Bal Vihar and all those things under VHP banner, and that's where we felt it would be useful to have the Hindu Heritage Youth Camp, and we had Suresh Patel, one of our VSP Karyakarta, organized this youth camp. VHP used to have these youth camps in North, East, and other places. So they wanted to start one in Houston, and that's how the camp got started. I happened to be the president of VHP at that time and automatically got involved. And ever since, it has been nothing but pleasure, fun, and it's wonderful to see how these youth camps are being run by the youth. That's one thing that I feel so proud of. The youth have taken over, as Rishi mentioned. We adults, we don't have to do anything, and that's a true transformation.
Was it always like that, or is it something that over time you had to build it to be like that?
No, it was not too long. It
Hmm.
uh, in about I guess 10, 15 years. I'm not sure.
Oh,
The youth started taking over.
wow, that's amazing.
It's amazing. So no, that's the best thing I have seen, and very proud of them.
Sarojini ji, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. As he told you, we are very passionate about this youth camp, and we can see how important it is to take care of our coming generation. It's not only for this generation, for coming generations also. And now we earn our wings. It's our time to pay it off. And we realize it, and we can see the result in these years. Now from 100 kids, we have 1500 kids applying, and the good effect of that, they are lifetime friends. They get married also later on, and they always talk, auntie, you guys started this camp. Now we are having time of our life and our kids. So that's the reason we can feel so happy, proud, satisfied. That's all I will say.
That's amazing to hear. So I mean, I honestly, what the two of you have done is amazing. Because it's already very difficult when you're coming to a new country. You don't always meet people that are like you, and even now, even though there's more Indians and Hindus now than before, it must have been very difficult in the early days, right? So, can you maybe explain what are some of the challenges that you faced when you were trying to initially start the camp?
Yeah.
Well, initially, as Rishi pointed out, we had to contact the families
Mm.
and ask them to send their children
Yeah.
to
It
the
was
camp.
hard.
And once it got traction, now more and more kids they tell their kids, their friends,
Hmm.
that they how much fun they had. And
Right.
so as a result, the other kids want to join the camp. And so it has become like an infectious uh, uh, thing, that other kids like to come in, even though they are completely uh, unaware of anything of these Hindu activities.
Right.
So it draws the general public, and that's a good thing. It's not just about Sangh Swayam Sevak or their families and those things. So,
Okay.
so those kids get attracted to come to these camps, and it's wonderful opportunity to mold these guys.
Hmm. And
And
what can you say? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
only one thing I want to add. Actually, by games and play and fun, we teach them so much which is for their lifetime, from yoga to so many Hindu values. And those are the things our purpose is. They learn those things and then they use it, and they are using because they are giving back to society. It means our values are giving back, right? So that's the reason we feel good that what we did was right thing,
Mhm.
and kids are picking up and their kids are picking up generation to come.
So actually, you mentioned about Hindu values, right? So one of our major values is seva. So can you kind of explain how you try to teach the kids about seva, and maybe can you give your definition of what is seva? I think a lot of times it's often just translated as charity or something like, or service, when I think it's a more complete definition. So could you maybe explain to us what is seva and how do you teach the kids seva?
I
Well,
will say, okay, go ahead.
yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, I'll say first on that one.
Okay.
Seva is something which when I do it, I feel happy, satisfied, and I get paid up by that satisfaction and happiness. Everything is done for that purpose. I feel peaceful, and that's it. I get it, what I want.
Okay.
That's my seva definition. I'm
Yeah.
happy, satisfied. I don't care who thinks what. Let's serve from heart and do whatever you can do to society.
So any act of service which is you're doing it for your own pleasure. You're not doing it to get
Right.
anything out of return,
It's
right? You're
my
doing
own
it
pleasure.
because you feel good.
That's
That you,
very true. Then I can do better because I feel good. If I'm doing for you or anybody else, then I'll say, well, let's see whether they feel good or not,
Mhm.
whether they are getting result. I feel good, so I think I did what I feel I should be doing, and I feel accomplished on that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Subhashi is. Do you want to add anything to that? I think that's a pretty good definition, but
Yeah, I think we try to instill these Hindu values, and one of the most important thing is seva, aspect of seva, not just me.
Mhm.
Think of others, do some seva, uh, and that really takes you, uh, improves your personality. Then only your personality develops when you do those in the seva.
Yeah.
uh, just working for yourself. Everybody works for themselves.
Mhm.
But when you work for others, niswat, selflessly, without expecting anything,
Mhm.
and that's what we are trying to teach in the camp with examples of people. We bring in leaders like Rishi and Amit Mishra and bunch of those guys who are providing that selfless service. So we have the role models, so kids can learn from them, right from the real people, not just stories.
Mhm.
And this is where I feel camp is making a big difference, It is creating leaders. It is creating feeling of service to give back to the society and think globally. Otherwise people are being self-centered.
Right. No, and I agree. I remember when we spoke before, you were telling me that you also like to give back to the local community
Oh, yeah.
that you operate in as well, right? So it's not
Right.
just about the Hindu community; it's about
Yeah.
No,
the people
no.
you're living
Yeah,
with, right?
we have yeah,
Yeah.
we have Seva International, which
Mhm.
works only in this country. I mean, it's international organization,
Right.
and we all are involved in that. So anything happen in Houston or USA, any kind of calamities, we are there, and
Mhm.
for that we have been awarded so many times by even once even by President of America also, Red Cross and all other organization. Why we work on the ground to help anyone whoever needs the help. All kind of people are associated with Seva International.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I also heard you for constructing this new site. You're actually employing people who are locally in the neighborhood, correct? If I'm not
Right.
mistaken. So you're
Yes.
trying to like also support the local economy.
Local
Mm,
economy.
yeah,
No, I think that's wonderful. So
That was our mantra right from day one.
yeah.
And we have developed very good relations with the local people there.
so can you talk about how uh, so maybe because we spoke a little bit about challenges in terms of trying to recruit people initially, right? Because you people didn't know about the camp. Now everybody knows. But did you face any challenges with from other groups trying to while you were trying to run the camp? Because I know you had to rent spaces here and there. So can you maybe talk about some of those challenges?
No, I don't think there has been any challenge from any other group.
Okay.
We have been doing these camps for 39 years now, and they have been going on very smoothly. It's just issue of the campsite that we cannot find the suitable campsite
Hmm.
for long period of time, for weeks and weeks. So we get these campsites for a week, and so we can run basically one camp of 180, 200, 220 people. And
Okay.
that's where our problem is that we have demand outpacing the supply.
I see.
And that has been in fact this is the primary reason why I got involved, why we bought the land
Hmm.
because we thought we need to do something. It's very difficult to bring our kids into our Hindu fold, and then not providing this camp experience is kind of, in my view, uh, a, not a sin but kind of sin that we are not able to provide this thing if we can. So I felt that we could do something, and that's what motivated us to buy the land and take the initiative of constructing. And with the help of Manya Ramesh Bhutada ji and others, we were able to come up with the sufficient funding for this campsite.
And Abhishek ji, one more thing with
Hmm.
the other organization, we never had any problem. The reason is we call them in each single program functions of ours. You will be amazed. Every organization, including our neighbor, they have visited our campsite and they have promised to help us out. In the sense, they want to hold their camps there. It's very important we are good to others, they'll be good to you, right? It's in return.
Yeah.
So other organizations are cooperating with us. They know this is for all of us. We
Hmm.
are one. Simple. So
Yeah.
if we are one, we need to cooperate and march ahead. So cooperation with from them is just unbelievable. No matter if Swami Narayan or other organization, any organization, even their Swamis came to our programs.
Okay. No, that's
I'm
wonderful to
very
hear.
happy in that way.
No, that's a very good thing.
Yeah,
All the organizations have been telling it's
very
for you.
nice, very nice.
They can hold their camps, they can
There,
hold their meetings,
Mm.
retreats, whatever.
no challenge at all.
And
Because,
our Sangh will be using quite a bit besides this Hindu heritage youth camps. So
Okay.
it will be used widely by the community.
sure. And other people also.
Okay, that's wonderful. So actually, you mentioned Ramesh Bhutada ji, so I think this would be a good time to bring him in. Namaste, Ramesh ji. Welcome to the show.
Namaskar, namaste, namaste.
So, can you talk a little bit about your involvement with the camp? Of course, you said you were one of the donors, and you've done a lot with philanthropy. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been, with respect to camp, I have been very fortunate to be involved with it right from day one. You know,
Okay.
when the idea of holding this camp came about, and as Rishi and Subhash ji pointed out, you know, initially we had to convince parents
Hmm.
to send their uh, children's, you know, sons and daughters, you know, and usually people were little uh, conservative about sending their daughters, you
Hmm.
know, and because this camp is, you know, both, you know, for boys and girls,
Right.
because we wanted them to really, of course, they have different groups, you know, and they have different sleeping facilities,
Hmm.
but at the same times, the intellectual activities are held together, you
Hmm.
know, and the shakha and everything. And I remember, as Rishi and Subhaji pointed out, initially the adults, I mean, I started as a volunteer for the
Hmm.
campsite, you know, in terms of whatever needed to be done those days. And it started as adults managing the camps, adults being the counselors, adults being the directors,
Hmm.
and so on. But what has happened since then is it has become more like an pretty close to an institution, in the sense it is like a flowing river, you
Hmm.
know, that no one person remain as in charge of the camps, holding camps. You know,
Right.
I would say there are about four generations of youth have gone through, who have at different phases, and the whole thing got evolved. You know, the counselors became youth, then the directors became youth, and the whole management, how to recruit counselors, how to educate counselors,
Hmm.
all of those things are handled by the youth. So it is the youth camp, run and managed by the youth for the youth. And that is what really is the great part, because what happens is these young children like Rishi, or later on now Sahaj, they relate with the youth, you know, who are college going youths, because you know they see them as in the community, you know, either
Yeah.
their elder brothers or sisters, or you know, someone, neighbors, sons and daughters and things like that. So they are very able to relate to them, and they don't find them as preachy, you
All
know,
right. Right.
because what used to happen was, we noticed this, that we used to bring some saintly people or some acharyas and things like that, and the youngsters won't be able to really relate to them quickly,
Right. Right.
because their whole emphasis was trying to talk about, you know, Hindu scriptures and things like that. You
Hmm.
know, they really per se don't want to, they're not that curious about the scriptures, but
Right.
if you try to make it as a story and try to make it how it is relevant to them,
Right.
you know, then they're really willing to listen to it. And we have these three groups: the elementary and the middle school and then the high school, you know, and there are different topics set up for their um, teaching, I mean, intellectual sessions, or what you call bodhiks,
Mm.
and these students, counselors themselves run it. Counselors do their own study 6 weeks prior to the camp,
Oh
and they
wow.
meet every weekend over the period of 6 weeks, to talk about those subjects, because they themselves need to learn more.
Yeah.
So uh, it is really a very good. I believe why I'm calling it as an institution. Number one, there is no one person who is controlling it.
Mm.
There's a flowing river of directors, counselors, campers. As you saw, Rishi was a
Right.
camper right from the age of 6. I believe that he joined the first camp at the age of 6, even when he was not qualified. But he just didn't want to come. He went with us to visit the campsite. Then he said he doesn't want to go back home. So now it became a problem for the camp management. What do we do with this little guy? So then one uh, one of his elderly friends, he said he will take care of him. You guys don't worry. Then they allowed him. I remember this very, very distinctly. So at the age of 6, even though the entry age was 8, he started attending the camp, and I saw how it contributed to him,
Mm.
as an individual. When he went to college, he got involved with Hindu Student Association. Then later on, he became part of HAF,
Right.
and he's on the HAF board of directors. So I felt very gratified, not just because of him, but I have seen number of people like him,
Mm.
who really got involved into, they have taken responsibilities,
Right.
whether it is Raki Israni or Anand Shah or um, Amit Mishra, and, various people like that. So you feel good when the second generation, you create leaders in our community. So this camp, at the least, creates a Hindu identity
Mm.
for every camper, whosoever goes there. And at the best, it creates Hindu leaders.
Mm.
And in between, there are, some people get to know each other, then there are marriages. So two campers end up in developing further relationship. So what I'm saying is it has had nothing but positive outcomes, all the way. So uh, I sincerely believe that, if and this is like a very unique institution because it is run by the youth, only in the kitchen where there are adults involved, and Sushma ji had taken a lead role for last quite a few years in providing the food, and
Mm.
kids love the food. They find that as a big attraction, eating with youngsters. Youngsters like to be with youngsters.
Yeah.
It is a very simple this thing. So what happens is they really enjoy right from morning till evening. They do arti, they do bhajans.
Mm.
They So in between, what you provide these things which make them aware about Hinduism, which make them aware of certain deeper aspect of Hinduism, depending upon which group they are in. If they are in
Right.
elementary group, then it is stories like Ramayana, Mahabharata, and things of that nature, and Dhruv and
Mm.
Prahlad and things of uh,
Right. Right.
like that. And then the deeper you go, then why family as an institution is important. What is why even marriage institution is important, and things of that nature. Why do what is the concept of seva, as you said. Like initially when I heard of Nar Seva, Narayan Seva, it took me a while to really get the deeper meaning of that. you
Right.
know to me, seva is really something, an opportunity, that you have to be fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to provide seva,
Yeah.
because it really gives you, as Sarojji said, so much of inner satisfaction, that it generates positive vibes in you.
Yeah.
So it really helps you to stay positive in your life. If you stay positive in your life, you have a great network of um friends, supporters, and you can do number of things, with people together. I mean, I got connected with the campsite thing because Subhashi had taken the initiative,
Mm.
to buy the land and to go for the campsite. And I felt that this is something we really need to arrange. And there has been tremendous community support. Jugal Malani ji and Vijay Kumar Dev Mahajan ji, several others people, Manish Mehra, and I mean, I can count on there may more than 100 and 150 people. Even some people from outside, Brahmji Agarwal, Sajjanji Agarwal from Carolinas, Brahmji from
Mm.
uh, Florida, Orlando, and then I think um, from New York, your own New York, I think Mon Wanchuji, they all donated. They each donated $100,000.
Wow.
So it means a lot. Okay, that when we went to them and explain to them what this campsite is all about. I would like to see that not only this campsite flourish, it will flourish because it has a very sound foundation of 39 years, you know, but one day I would like to see in about another 10, 20 years. I may or may not be there till that long. I'm 77. But, you know, each big metropolitan city having such an institution where the youngsters, our Hindu youngsters, because this is where we put the seeds,
Right.
otherwise people get lost because they cannot relate to temples,
No, exactly.
and so they don't know that we don't have any other thing to tie them up with Hinduism. It's not like we are in India,
Right.
that every other person is a Hindu. Wherever you go, there's a temple, there are marriages, there are
Right.
several functions, festivals, this and that. Here we
Place.
don't have all those opportunities, so it is very, very important for us to uh, build these kind of institutions. And these are built for hundreds of years. These campsites will last.
Yeah.
It's one time thing. And these are you know, once you build, one great thing about it is self-funded
Yeah.
because whatever the fees you collect through that, you maintain the campsite.
Yeah. It's
Like what
community
we used to
support.
pay to the outside campsite. You asked about what kind of issues we face. We did face issues
Hmm.
when we went to some Christian campsites. They wouldn't allow us to have God's images
Mm.
while doing artis or things like. They won't allow us to sing bhajans. Then it becomes very difficult, and that's why we had to really shop for a campsite.
Right.
Where we have the freedom to have an image of a god over there. You
Wow.
know, to photo of a god.
Right.
So it is, and then 1 year when you'll get it, then they will say, okay, we can't give you next year. So there was no permanency. So permanency plus, as you said, that there was a lot more demand. I think pretty soon, within about couple of years, we'll be holding probably about 4 camps,
Hmm.
4 to 5 camps a year. These Hindu heritage camp. Along with this campsite is a resource for the whole community.
Yeah.
Communities can have retreats, yoga, meditation retreats, or any Hindu organization. One great thing is almost all the major temple organizations have given a token contribution, financial contribution of $10,000 to $25,000.
Wow.
Which indicates, because we wanted to get them involved
Hmm.
because it is for them as well,
Right.
so that they can hold their activities too. We are Subhaji has the concept of having an immersion camp for these Hindu youth. Some of these counselors and directors, who get more involved. how to really take them deeper into Hinduism so that they really can become leaders, whichever field they go into, whether it is public service, whether it is business, whether it is Hindu community activities,
Right.
or any sort of, our aim is to make them aware of Hindu values, make them aware of, to create the leadership qualities in them, so that they can really provide the leadership in the community. And I think I personally feel, having seen the results already,
Hmm.
it is not something we are trying out a new concept here. It
Right.
is a well proven concept. So I think we are very happy that we are pretty close to getting our donation budget of $6 million, and this
Hmm.
campsite will be built within a year. And I think children would be uh, very happy. They literally. I mean, so many children are disappointed when they are not able to get into it. Look at, initially we used to recruit. Now, last 10 years or so, that uh, there is mad rush
Hmm.
to be a camper, you know.
Wow. It's kind
Huh.
of sad, but it's a
Yeah,
good
so it
problem,
is,
but it's sad for the kids that don't get in.
yeah, yeah,
So,
it
so
is really,
Ramesh, I want to tell you something here. In this last Bhumi Puja, Panditji, when I gave him the check for the Dakshina, he said, Subhashi, don't give me Dakshina, get my son admitted to the camp.
Camps.
Wow.
Definitely.
no, literally people would be willing to pay extra money to get the student in the,
Oh man, that's
their
That's
child
amazing.
in the camp. But
And then
we don't really try to. But I think the kind of by and large cooperation we got, because we wanted to get the community
Mhm.
cooperation, you know, because the institutions have to be built with communities' help, participation, and things
Right.
things of that nature. And
You
it is
know,
very heartening to see that no one tried to maintain a control on these camps. It
right.
has become like a flowing river, like a
Mhm.
dharma, which is what it
Mhm.
should be. So I think this is just the beginning piece of the puzzle we have to build in the whole United States, in the Western Hemisphere.
Mhm.
Because as India becomes a very prominent economic power, pretty soon, in next 3 4 years, 5 years, it will become the third largest economy in the world. And then the world will start looking at India. And what has fueled that India, which everyone has written off,
Mhm.
few decades back, how come it has become the third largest economic power
Mhm.
and could even rise further? It's not that it is stopping there,
Right.
you know. Then people will start look at Hindu Dharma, what is the philosophy which propelled it to become.
Yeah.
And that is where the interest will come. And but we have to be ready for that. We have to build Hindu institutions for that, whether
Right.
it is Hindu University, Hindu American Foundation, or the local things like these campsites. You know, these are the kind of institutions which we'll have to build.
Yeah.
So these are necessary well and above the temples we have.
Right.
You know,
I
because
like
in
how you're describing it as an institution, right? Because one of the things, right, one of the sad things about our history is how our traditional education system was destroyed. The
right,
traditional gurukuls. In a way, we're almost recreating that. Not so much to the same extent, maybe, but we're sort of heading in that direction. We're getting
yes,
the kids involved. They're learning about dharma. So it's almost like we're setting up. We're trying to rebuild those
yeah,
gurukuls.
it is a new version. It is a
Yeah.
new version of basically what we are trying to do. And out of this, who knows? It is an evolving institution.
Hmm.
Okay, institutions have to evolve themselves. The
Yeah.
camps, what we have today, they were not the same when we started it. Camps which will be 10 years from today, 20 years from today, they will have different dimensions.
Hmm.
There's something will come out of them,
Right.
who. it is for, see, human being, if you left them to flower itself. Why communism didn't succeed in the world? Because they wanted to have the straight jacket for everybody.
Mm,
Okay, and that human mind just doesn't work that way. We are all like flowers of different colors.
mm,
We have to bloom. We should be allowed to bloom, and that is what Hinduism really taught us. That let the inner being flower. In whichever direction, howsoever positively we can contribute uh, to the society. And I think that is why Hinduism has such a big appeal. Is end up in going to be really more like a Vishwa Dharma, Sanatan Dharma.
yeah.
More, I would like to call it as a Sanatan Dharma because it teaches not to have a conflict with anybody.
Mm,
It doesn't talk about superiority over any race
mm,
or any one particular country. It doesn't talk about conflict. It talks about building bridges. It talks about having an harmony. And that is what is the greatest thing one has to learn. Harmony in the family, harmony in the society,
mm,
harmony within the nations,
yeah.
you know. So harmony all the way. Harmony with the God,
Right.
connection with the God, the Almighty. You call it different ways, whichever deity you are, you worship, or even if whether it is a deity or even it is just a very idea of consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hinduism has room for every positive aspect of human life.
Mm,
And that is why I think we need to preserve, we need to promote and bring this awareness about Hindu dharma to everybody. I mean, I learned the hard way.
yeah.
I learned hard way in the sense, I wouldn't say hard way, but I was fortunate. I came in contact with a lot of people in over here in Houston, United States, and that's how I learned more about Hindu dharma.
Mm,
Okay, but you don't want our future generations to really go through that. We have to set up institutions
right.
so that they really learn about Hindu dharma, the finer aspects, the deeper aspects, how the dharma is relevant in day to day life.
Yeah.
Dharma is not just like doing a puja in one morning and that's it, that's the end of the dharma.
Yeah.
So it is you have to live the dharma in your life.
No, of
So
course.
anyway, I mean, so this is a small step. The
Yeah.
campsite is a small step.
Yes.
You know,
So actually, now what I want to get to is now that we're in the process, we're building the campsite. What are ways that other Hindus can help to contribute? So you've talked about how temples have pitched in. What are some of the things we could do to spread the word, to contribute financially and help out?
right? I mean, financially, not only that, I would like to see that other people in other cities
Hmm.
come and visit these camps when the camps are being held, understand how the camps are being run,
Right.
okay, and take the initiative to have such kind of Hindu heritage camps for children
In their own cities.
in their own cities,
Ah, okay.
okay, and I will be more than happy to contribute even financially for any campsite being built in any city in the United States.
Hmm.
The reason being is I believe it's a very, very fundamental, as I said, is the founding stone
Yeah.
of how we are going to preserve and promote Hinduism in the western part of the world. So I think it is very necessary, and through Chitti Media, I would really like to appeal to the Hindu youth, Hindu leaders, around the country to really see that how these kind of institutions can be set up
Hmm.
in their own cities. They can start with renting campsite. They don't have to build a campsite right
Right.
away. Okay, they just have, and these camps, by the way, don't require money.
Mm.
Okay, they are self-funded. Even when you are holding a rent a campsite, it is self-funded.
Hmm.
All these counselors and directors are volunteers.
Okay.
Okay, so it is not a financial. It doesn't take any finances to hold the camps, to begin the camps.
Okay.
Only when you are able to hold the camps for 5, 10 years, then you think about building a campsite.
Ah, okay, okay. So I think so.
Okay,
From what you're saying, it's they need to follow that blueprint that you set down, that you've kind of laid down. Create the camp first, and then
create the camp
justify
first,
building.
create the counselors first, create the
Yeah.
directors first.
Right. Right.
Have the campers first, and
Right.
let them. And I think in a year or couple of years, we should be able to provide that kind of training
Mm.
from our Houston
Okay.
to other places.
Yeah.
Where all it requires is 2, 3 people to have this idea. Suresh Patel started it over here in Houston.
Mm.
He talked to few of us. We gave him support, but he was the one who took the initiative. He was the first camp director.
Wow.
Okay, and all we did was initially we contributed maybe a little bit of money just to make sure that we have money to rent the campsite.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
we could give them the deposit. That's about all.
Wow.
And then we worked as volunteers.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's amazing. Wow.
I mean, go back. I was about 36, 37 years old when the first camp
Right.
was held. You know, and so was probably Subhashi around that age. Subhashi came few years later over here to Houston. But so what I'm trying to say is that, and we had a Vishwa Hindu Parishad as the organization which gladly sponsored it.
Hmm.
So you get an organization which will gladly sponsor it or create your own. And then, yeah, but you should have a very noble attitude that I'm not going to control it. I'm going to
Yes.
let it flow, let it take its
Mhm.
own shape, let it evolve, you
That's where
know.
I think people need to actually probably come to Houston and see how you've done it, because and
Right,
experience it firsthand, so they know what that's like.
right,
So
right. Yeah,
yeah,
I think because, they say that taste of pudding is in eating, right? Or
yeah,
something like that. So,
yeah. The proof is in the pudding, I think.
so what I'm saying is that come witness it, see it, see how children are
Yeah.
enjoying, see what they're being taught, you know, see how the counselors. I mean, counselors are happy. They come, they want to come
Yeah.
because they want to have that leadership uh, chance
Right.
to be
Right.
able to lead the group of youngsters. And through the counselors, then they become the leaders.
Mm. Yeah.
And I mean, I could literally name about 15 or 20 people who either have became business people or they are leading in one organization or another. Some went into public service.
Hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is that it is and we didn't do it. It happened by osmosis.
Mm.
Okay. I wouldn't say that we had all this blueprint on day one. We didn't.
Right. Right.
Okay. So that is the beauty of dharma. Dharma really propels you.
Right. Hmm.
If you go on the right path, dharma propels you to do great things.
Wow. That's amazing to
Okay,
hear. Yeah.
yeah, your inner being propels you,
Mhm.
and that is how these ideas, these youngsters also. I mean, they put in a lot of effort. You know,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong; these guys don't sleep for one week. The counselors and the
Awesome.
directors,
Yeah.
because once the campers go to sleep,
They're
you
still
know
working.
they still have work. They
Yeah.
have to get up early again in the morning by 5 o'clock. because they have to wake up these guys at 6 o'clock. So and then these campers go to sleep by 9:30, 10 o'clock. Then these guys, you know, get together and see, hey, what went wrong, what was right, and uh, and then some disciplinary problems are also there with some students. So it is part and parcel of it. Then you have to make sure that there is no mischiefs being played in the campsite, you
Right.
know. All of the, because there's a big responsibility
Yeah.
having youngsters. Then there is doctors on the campsite. So I mean everything is being really run by the way it needs to be. In terms of the state regulations and things of
Okay.
that nature. Yeah, but they the students love the game. Students love the um, artis, bhajans, uh, yoga. They do Surya Namaskar every day.
Oh,
Every
wow.
day they do 12 Surya Namaskars in the morning.
That's
That's how
amazing.
their day starts. Okay. They have a swimming pool. They swim. So there are various activities. That's why the campsite we are building, where it will have a swimming pool. It will have the games outside, facilities for that. So uh, it is really, and even this campsite got evolved,
Right.
in terms of its layout, everything else. So it is, and we are happy that we got the opportunity to be part of it.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
that's
I
amazing.
consider that we are lucky, that we got this opportunity. So I think it is, but really, I think we have to build institutions
Yeah.
beyond temples. And I would say even temples need to become the counseling centers for the community.
Yeah, there
We
used
have
to
to,
be like education centers in ancient India.
yeah,
So the
not
kids used to
only
get
education
educated.
centers. See, we don't realize, but in our Hindu families also, we have problems of depression, divorces, family issues, and things of that nature. Okay, we cannot put them under the carpet. Okay, those need to be addressed, and those need to be addressed by having been provided counseling to them.
Right.
you know Teaching them the importance of the family. It is uh, so that the divorce rate is reduced. I'm not saying it is a big issue, but it is a issue. Okay. And the what you will call the family abuse and things of that nature, because I have been exposed to few of those. And that's why I feel that temples need, because we have those facilities, those are not being used for 12 hours a day. They need to be
Right.
used.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that we have to think beyond the setup what we have in India. We have to go beyond that. We have to think about how to really use these temples not as for God's worship, but for human worship also.
Okay.
Provide them seva, how we can really give, just like churches do over here. They do
Yeah.
family counseling, right? So why can't we do that? Why can't we have a family counselors at each temple?
Yeah.
People, I mean, just think about it. It is not going to take a whole lot of financial resources to do that.
Yeah.
So it is something the Hindu community needs to think seriously. The camp administrators, I mean the temple administrators, need to think. Board of directors, they need to think that let's expand our scope. Let's have playgrounds
Right.
at the temple.
Yeah.
Okay, like Swami Narayan, they have a playground, they have a gym
Oh.
at a Bab's temple over here. Okay, they have counseling. They have these sadhus and swamis who are well versed to counsel people.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have models like these over here already. And these are the things we need to do, because our temples are sometimes community oriented, which is
Mm.
fine. Nothing, there is
Yeah.
nothing wrong about it. They cater to particular um, sect or Hindu sect or
Yeah. Yeah.
something that is okay. But let's provide to that sect itself
Right.
uh, these activities. So I mean, I would like this campsite tomorrow to be able to have a business leaders conference.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Those who want to get into businesses, how
Right.
do we provide counseling to them?
Hmm.
This is so the campsite becomes a complementary to temples,
Yeah.
and temples
Nice.
become complementary to the campsite. So it is a wider concepts we have to develop into to really build these institutions. And I think it can be done. Our community has, our generation struggled to
Hmm.
establish ourselves,
Yeah.
but now the future generations don't have those struggles.
Hmm.
Okay, future generations have it on a silver platter, if I may say so.
Yeah.
you
It's
know
up
Yeah.
to us what we decide to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. I think it is something, you know, uh, have that experience of this is what I would call is the real seva.
Uh,
You, you will do for the community, and I think in a way that is how Hindu dharma. Then we will be really implementing dharma in life, real life.
mm, I agree.
When we, huh. So anyway, I think, but that was my thought process for
So yeah,
whatever it is
let's
worth.
let's end on a note where so your website, right? It's, the Hindu Heritage Youth Camp.net, I believe.
Yes, that is for the camps.
Okay.
And for the campsite, it is Texas Hindu
Camp.
campsite.org.
Okay. So that's where people can go to find out more about the camp, find out more information, and even sign up for the classes. And also, will there be information on these sites about any updates regarding the construction of the new facility?
Yes, we plan to post those updates.
Okay, awesome. So I guess we'll end on that note. Thank you very much for joining me on this call. I really appreciate the work that all of you have been doing.
Thank you, Abhishek ji,
Thank
and
you,
thank you,
Namaste,
Chitti
Abhishek.
Vijay
Media,
ji.
for
Thank you
giving
very
us
much.
an
We really
opportunity to.
appreciate your time and opportunity.
No, we as like I don't know if I could speak for everybody, but I think the Hindu community really, especially in America, owes you a lot. So this is, I think you set down such a great foundation for us to build off of. So thank you for that, really. So I
So
mean,
only one request. If you
yeah,
get time, please come and visit
of
our
course.
Hindu campsite, and then you will get first feel. Talk to the kids when camp is going on, and talk to the people up there. So then everything will be clear to you. Nobody needs to explain you anything then.
Okay,
And that's my
amazing.
appeal. That's our appeal to all the people
Yeah, yeah.
who is your audience.
You come
You
and
know.
spread the word.
Yeah, come experience it firsthand. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you
I,
very much, guys. Sahaj Bhutana ji, namaste. Welcome to the show.
Namaste.
So tell me, how long have you been going to the camp so far?
4 years. So
Fo-
ever since like I've been in third grade, I went.
Okay, so you're in seventh grade now.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the camp?
So I like it's very fun. Like we learn a lot about like Hinduism, and then we get to like play and
Okay, so can you tell me, is there, what are some of the most interesting things that you have learned about Hinduism in the camp?
like about like the stories of how like the Kauravas and Pandavas, like that. And then obviously the Ramji coming back to Ayodhya
Okay.
from the 13-year exile.
Oh yeah, that I mean I remember hearing those stories as well. Um, so could you tell me about so now that you're in school, how has learning about Hinduism helped you with your sense of identity going back into school? Does it help you with your with anything in school, connecting to friends? Can you explain a little bit about that?
It's helped me like I I like try to. It helps me focus more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, can you maybe give me some of the things that you do? Do you do any, do they teach you pranayama, meditation, anything like that?
In camp.
Yes, in camp.
Yeah, they do. They like we in the morning. There's a shaka every day.
Okay.
So over there we do all that. Yeah.
Actually, why don't you actually tell us about what does your day sort of consist of? You wake up in the morning, you do your shaka. Can you take us through the day a little bit?
So we wake up and then we do shaka, and then we do like games, and then we
Hmm.
like after games we eat breakfast, and then we come back to close shaka,
Okay.
and then after that we go to take a shower, and we go to our first thing of like learning, and then we go to lunch,
Oh, nice.
and then we learn again. Like we have another learning session, and then we do like a activity like arts and crafts, and then we have our final like learning,
Hmm.
and then after that we have like a we get free rec, like 2 hours of just playing and doing like
Okay.
stuff with whatever you want, and then we have bhajans before dinner,
Okay.
and then we have dinner, and then after dinner we have an activity at the night, like dodgeball or
Oh, wow.
town show and stuff like that, and then we have like a late night snack, and then we all get ready for bed.
Okay, that's amazing. So I actually heard one of the rules at the camp is that you're not allowed to have cell phones. Now, I don't know if so. Can you describe a little bit about that? Is it difficult to deal with that, or do you think it's helped you a lot?
I mean, I don't actually have a phone, so like,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's good.
I mean, not being on your phone, then you get to talk to more people also.
Okay,
So
so it's
then,
helped you actually socialize with the
yeah,
other kids.
help you make more friends too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you first went to the camp, do you see a lot of the same people that you've made friends with back then? Do you see them coming back to the camp as well?
Yeah, I see actually a lot of them come back because it's for them, it's like really fun.
Okay,
And
that's
then
good to
you have
hear.
a few that don't come back, but most of them do. And it's like
Oh,
most of
that's
my
great.
friends do come back, and yeah.
And I'm sure you also get to meet a lot of new friends as well, right?
Yeah, I make like new friends almost every year. So
Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? What are your interests? I see you have some sports things in the background, so tell me a little bit about what you're into.
I'm into like basketball. I like playing basketball, and then like I play football like with my friends just randomly.
Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
hear.
And then I like playing video games and like yeah.
Okay, nice. So, finally, for the camp, what could you say if you wanted to, if there was any other kids around your age that were interested in joining the camp, what would be your advice to them? What can you say that the camp will offer them that, why they should join?
And they should join because like it's very fun. You get to learn a lot about Hinduism, and then
Hmm.
you'll make a lot of new friends, and it's just overall just a very fun time there. Like it's very fun.
Thank you very much, Sagji. So next, I want to move the conversation to Rishi Bhutada ji. This is actually Sag's dad. So welcome to the show. Namaste.
Namaste.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the camp as well?
Sure. So I'm over 40 years old now, but I went to the camp as a kid myself. I went for 10, 11 years to the camp. Pretty much every year I could go. And then on top of that, after I got into college, I was a counselor for the camp for 3 years, and then I became a director of the camp. So I was a director of the camp for 3 years after college.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, can you say the impact that the camp has had on you? Because clearly you've been going back every year, and you also have your son enrolled in it. So, I'm sure it had a huge impact on your life.
Oh yeah, I would say the camp. I mean, it gave me a lot. First, it gave me, kind of the educational background about Hinduism, which was quite a bit, but also it gave me a great network of friends. I have friends from camp still, even though it's been over 20 years since I've attended the camp. I mean, it's these friends we've stuck together. We have a fantasy football league that we do together. It's been a blast. And then also the camp provided me my first real leadership opportunity as a counselor and director. I really one of the things about the camp, the way we structured it, is that the directors are all youth. They're all about to graduate college or college graduates, and we give them the real leadership opportunity that they are the ones in charge of the camp. They're the ones making the decisions, and so that was I think a really important experience for me and set me up to be involved in community activities going forward.
No, that's amazing to hear. So, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about, since you've gone to the camp for multiple years, how do they sort of structure programs based on the different age groups? So, like,
So
do you get more philosophical as you get older, or, and then when you're younger, it's more like, I guess you're just learning about the stories a little bit. Like, can you explain that a little?
yeah, I think that's right. I think at the elementary school age level, it's more about the stories and the basic foundational blocks of Hinduism. As you get older, the transitions into more of the philosophical concepts and kind of the metaphysical concepts. In high school, they'll have serious discussions about various topics, not only current events, but understanding the philosophy behind it and relating Hinduism to all of that. So I have high school kids about Hinduism and about how it relates to current day topics such as like American politics and so on. And I've taught elementary school age children about the Mahabharata. So it's a wide range of things that have that the camp offers depending on the age level.
So that's actually amazing to hear, because a lot of times our culture, it's limited to a religion. It's they trying to fit it into a box of religion, but it goes to many aspects. It's philosophy, it's physical development, it's martial arts, it's all these things. So it's actually really cool to hear that you connected to current affairs. So can you say when you got how did you balance kind of doing the camp activities and also doing school as you were growing up? How do you think? What advice do you have for anyone that's thinking of joining the camp?
I mean, the camp itself is in the summer,
Right.
so it makes it easy. I think it's a good time to get away and go to the camp. And for parents, I used to tell parents when I was a director, go take a vacation during camp. We'll take care of your kids. So it was a way to do that. As a counselor and director, especially as a director, because you're planning for the camp even while you're working and so on. So that balancing that became an interesting experience, but I was able to devote the time to do that, and I think it was always recruiting counselors, recruiting and all that. Nowadays we have more counselors applying for the camp than we have slots. Back then it wasn't the case. So
That's a good problem to have.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so what? I guess maybe since you pointed out, it's over the summer. What would you say to people that maybe to kids who are hesitant about, I don't want to give up my summer day vacations. What would you say to convince them about to join the camp?
If they're anything like my son, they get bored during the summer because there's not enough to do. This is the perfect way to spend 1 week, go meet a bunch of new friends, and learn about Hinduism, and it's a blast. It's a complete blast. It's everyone, almost every kid I hear going to the camp loves it, and I'll just give one example. Registration for the camp every year, right now, it fills up in 5 minutes, and so
Wow.
it is that's kind of the reason why we're building this campsite, so we can hold multiple camps and every kid can go.
So actually, can you actually speak a little bit about that? How the transformation that you've seen in the camp from the early days of you going to like now we're actually opening up the new facility. So can you talk a little bit about that transformation?
Sure. So back when I was a camper and a counselor and so on, we would have to advertise, and we would have to, we'd make sure we'd have to spread the word and make sure everyone knows about the camp. So that way we'd be able to fill it. One year, when I was director, I got overconfident, and I was like, we don't need to advertise this year. We'll have enough kids, and we didn't fill the camp for the first time. It was the last time we didn't do that. And so now there's just there's so many people that know about the camp, and the population's so much bigger now. I think it fills up really quickly. But on the flip side, we had been renting back when I was director, we were renting a Jewish community campsite, and then they sold it. And then now we've been hopscotching between campsites ever since. And so now having your own facility is going to be a giant transformational change for the camp and what's able to do.
Wow. Yeah, that's really exciting to hear. I mean, so it's honestly it's like a new chapter in the camp, it's a new day. So I mean, it's good to see where you guys have come from and where you are now. Can you talk about maybe what your involvement with the camp is now as you're balancing your professional life and family life? What kind of involvement do you have now?
Nowadays, I would say my official title is camp parent, as in my kid goes to camp.
Right.
I mean, well, one of the things I will occasionally provide advice to the steering committee if they ask for it. Really, at the age of 40 and so on, you recognize that you need to let the next generation lead. And so that is something that I'm more than comfortable with. And so I'm happy to have that next group, that next generation leading the camp. Now with the campsite and everything, there's obviously kind of a need to get back involved and, planning out the campsite, making sure we raise enough money and so on. So that I've gotten involved. I think this is the most involved I've been in a while to get back involved with the camp, but it's a joy to do this, to be involved with the camp. The camp has always been my one of those things that I will always be committed to, and I'm very happy that we have our own campsite now.
And so finally, one last thing I want to say is what would you say similar to the question I asked your son, what would you say to parents that are thinking about, where they're on the fence about should I send my kid to this camp or not? What will they get out of it? What would you have to say to them to convince them that this would be a great experience for their child?
I would say even more so than the education, and the education is important, don't get me wrong. But the biggest thing the camp provides is and if you send your kid every year, it provides your kid with a network of friends that they will stay connected with and be with, and it will be a network of Hindu friends, which is not easy, even now, even with our increased population here, which is not that easy to come across. And it's a network that you can count on. And so for their parents, this is the best thing they can give their kids, because having friends when you're older and an adult that have the same experience as you do is so valuable. And I think that's for a parent, that's the most important thing that they're giving their kid by sending them to the camp.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Like, share, subscribe. Namaste.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.